Who's responsible for shipping? Who is responsible for the risk? And how can we allocate this? This is an international transportation law is a very, very important question. Of course, which risks do we have? The risks are risk, who's going to pay the charges, who will be responsible for damages during the voyage. You know, we have a convention on international sales of goods, and in this convention, the questions who are now on the table are when does this exist? So the risk passed from the seller to the buyer. And this is also negotiated in contract for sales, in the shipping terms, the input terms. And sometimes we have destination contracts. Normally, the rule is the risk passes when goods are given to the buyer at delivery point at destination. So it's very important to negotiate what is the point, what is the destination. In international sales under the convention, the rule is unless the parties agree otherwise, the loss or damages occurring after risk of loss has passed does not relieve the buyer of the obligation to pay for the goods. That is that's a common rule. So that means even if the buyer is not not the owner now of the goods, he has to pay because the risk is passed to him. But sometimes we have trade terms, shipping terms, and on these shipping terms we find them some symbols like free and bird and expensive. And these are shorthand ways of designation shipping and cargo payments. This is a shorthand method. This permits that the parties to express the agreement quickly and with little confusion. But of course, these Incoterms are very important. So these international rules of interpretation of trade terms in international rules, they are from 2010, last edition, and they allocate the passage of the time. Right? This is very important. And if you look it up, Incoterms 2010, for example, or 2020, so you can see the colorful pictures here. And in these colorful pictures, you can see that it depends always. Let me see if I can open this one here. It depends which. Let's see if I can open it. So Incoterms, the best thing is you look yeah, some of them are really good colored, and they just show the ship and they show what's going on there. Let me see, maybe I can open this a little bit better here. Yeah, in this you can see here always the terms here on the side. Yeah, good terms. Ah, yeah, that is good. International commercial terms. So you can see here are the codes here, EX, EXY, W, or CPT, or CP, or so on. Here we have also CRF. And here you can see the seller, and there's the buyer, and here's the good. And you can see who's responsible. The seller, always the question who is paying for this, and who has the risk, and when is there a transfer of risk. Can you see this point? If the risk is passed, then the buyer has to pay, right? The buyer has to pay even if he didn't get the things. Okay. So we have different terms here, and for example, the E terms places lowest amount of responsibility to the seller. The F terms, for example, the seller is required to deliver the goods to the designated point of departure and free of expenses or risk to buyer, right? Okay, let's see. Here's a case: Zeta Petrochemicals versus Dongbu, and in this contract, they have some Incoterms here, and Incoterms 2000 at that time, and they had some specification on the color of the product and so on, and they had the FOB Ulsan anchorage, right? So this means that they have here the place where FOB, let's just take a look. FOB, we can take it up here. FOB means here the port of the shipment. This is the port of the shipment stands behind FOB, and this means, okay, this was Ulsan anchorage. Okay. In this court, and the court has to decide here if the convention is really valid and what happens if they try to make some derogations here. And for example, here, these Incoterms, and at the end, the decision was the courts held that Incoterms are incorporated into the body of the CISC, and there was no incompatibility between the convention and the Incoterms, so they go together, these two things. And the parties' contract failed to displace any provision of the CISC, and consequently, the application of the Incoterms as well. For example, so the Incoterms and the convention are applied on this in this case. Okay, we have the other terms. It always starts with a C or with a D. So in the C terms, the seller is responsible for certain costs after the goods have been delivered to the carrier. And the D terms, this is a destination contract. The seller has great responsibility, so they're very, very dangerous for the seller. Sometimes we can modify a little bit the trade terms, but the problem is if additional terms do not contradict the agreed upon terms, then the agreement is enforceable, right? So you can sometimes, the seller has his trade terms and the buyer has trade terms, and sometimes they contradict. But so if the additional terms do contradict to the agreed upon terms, it can destroy the CIF terms. And this happened, for example, in this case, Kuma. There we had a CIF contract, and the risk of loss remains with the seller if he fails to purchase marine insurance, right? So that means sometimes if you don't do what you're supposed to, then you will have negative effects. Okay, in the next chapter, we will have the conclusion. Thank you for your attention. See you.